Well, we are here today to hear about the first cruise. So, Mara, share with me a little bit about who you are and when you became a fan.
Sure. My name is Mara. I've been a fan since about 1997 when I was in the fourth grade. Um, Remember people singing Backstreet Boys songs. That was back in the day. I quit playing games and As Long as You Love Me. And we listened to the adult contemporary radio station when I was a kid. So there was plenty of that going on. And just became a fan from there. And it just exploded once I hit middle school in like 99.
Yeah, big Millennium Days definitely exploded for
Yep.
them. So I personally have been on one cruise, which I'm very fortunate to have been on. But I'm curious how they've evolved over the years. So you were able to attend the first cruise. How
Hmm.
many have you done total?
Five of the six.
Oh, wow. Lucky. So you can compare them. So tell me about the first cruise. Tell me what the experience was like.
The first cruise was also my first cruise ever, so I had no idea what to expect.
Okay.
So I went in like, I don't know what this is going to be, but there's going to be Backstreet Boys and we're going to be on a cruise ship. Um
Good things.
yeah. What was the most interesting facet of the first cruise is that it was a half ship charter.
Oh, that's right. It wasn't even
It
the whole
was not a
thing.
full ship.
Oh, that's
Hmm.
so interesting.
So there was half of the ship was very confused senior citizens who had no idea what was going on.
Oh my goodness.
So we took over the deck each night because they did the deck parties like they do, but like
Just
during the
see this.
day, yeah. So just imagine a typical group of cruise goers on a Carnival cruise out of Miami, and you add in the fact that half of them are just there for the Backstreet Boys.
And half maybe don't even know who they are.
Yes. I know there were people on that cruise who were on the other half who are now fans because of what they experienced on
Oh,
that
there you
cruise.
go. That
Yeah.
makes sense.
So it was interesting. They put us all in the same dining time
Mhm.
because we only had one concert, one game show. I think we did concert, karaoke. I think we did a game show.
Mhm.
But there was only one of everything because we were only half the boat. In the subsequent cruises, they did two of everything to fit everybody.
Mhm. That makes sense.
We had a stop in Cozumel.
Okay. Oh, okay. So it was down that
Yep.
way.
Yeah, we went Key West. It was freezing cold. I went snorkeling in the freezing cold water. And then in Cozumel, they had a beach party, but it was a paid excursion. So it was not included in the price of the
Oh,
cruise. So not everybody went to that.
okay.
So it was like an extra 125, $150. And again, to me, this was a once in a lifetime experience. When am I ever going to get to do this again? So of course, you know,
Little did you know.
little did I know. But I did not know anybody on that boat.
So you went by yourself. You didn't have a.
I roomed with people I met in a ESB
Mhm.
Cruise Facebook group.
Mhm.
Never met the
With
people
any
before
of
in
them?
my life till what?
Are you still in touch with any of them? No. Okay. Well, that's okay.
You find out who your real friends are.
Yeah,
Um,
cruises are interesting experiences.
yeah, I had never even met a Backstreet Boy prior to that.
Oh, so that was the first time you got a chance to meet them.
It
And this
was
is 2011,
2010.
2010. Okay. Okay.
So
Very cool. So they had um how long was it?
4 nights, I believe. It was
Okay.
like Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Yeah, Thursday to Monday, I believe it was.
It's pretty similar to the way they do them now, but
Yeah.
half the shit. I really wish that like that's just fun.
It
I would
was
love to
so funny. We'd be in line at the buffets and they'd be like, "What's going on here? What is
Why are all these
this?
screaming people? What's happening?
I'm just trying to eat my lunch." And there's a Backstreet Boy.
I came on
We
this
we ran
cruise from
into
home.
we ran into Brian in the buffet area and people are like, "What is happening here?"
So do you remember the deck parties? Like what were the themes? What did that look like with, I mean, were there just random non-Backstreet cruise goers wandering through? Like,
There were some. There was, let's see, there was International Night. We did a black and blue night.
Mhm.
Masquerade, the fourth one, but yeah, we were out on the deck. One night though, it was so windy, like 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts out on the deck. So they're
Mhm.
like, okay, we're going to move the deck party into the nightclub on the ship.
Oh.
Well, the nightclub on the ship does not hold nearly as many people
Mm-hmm.
as
Mm-hmm.
the deck. They couldn't move it into the atrium like they have done on cruises since because other people on the boat.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember standing outside the nightclub and people were getting upset, like because they could only let 100 or
Yeah.
200 people into the nightclub, and it
Wow.
was a huge mess that night.
I can see the frustration there, yeah.
Yeah,
But you got to pivot. Um, do you how have aside from the fact that there's a full boat now instead of a half boat, what would you say has changed from that first to the last one you attended?
I think the boys are a lot more accessible.
Okay.
And it's, when we have, again, as I mentioned, the first cruise, the beach party was an additional cost.
Mm-hmm.
Every cruise since, wherever we've been, whether it be Nassau, Half Moon Cay, whatever, that was always part of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But nowadays, I mean, since in the four cruises since then, you can just wander around the ship and find a Backstreet Boy.
Okay.
The first cruise they were very uptight about things.
That was not my experience. I definitely couldn't wander and find them on the one I did. They were I never happened upon them, that's for sure.
I
Except
know
when
people who happen upon them all the time.
well, I wish. It's the close call was my best friend and I had a spa session
Yeah,
and she
yeah.
had a massage planned and her massage therapist came into the room to begin their session and said, "I'm sorry, I have another client I have to tend to, so I'm going to pass you on." And she sat up and she was like, "Who's more important than me?" And the girl was like, "It's Kevin." So he was like in the next room and she was like, "Oh man."
Yeah, I remember on the last one, I guess that was 2019. Me and my friend were in our cabin, and our other friend texted us. She's like, "Nick is at the buffet. Come here now."
Oh,
So
see,
we
and
hustled down to the buffet and got in line to take a picture with Nick.
fair, yeah. The one I went on, I didn't even get to like. He was the one I couldn't get to. He was like
Yeah,
all over the place, but where I was. Um, so which one did you not go on?
2013.
Okay,
The what was it, the 20th anniversary? Because I had
got
just
it.
gotten a new job and wasn't able to take time off.
Okay. What do you remember about the concert? I'm kind of I only went to the one and I've seen video footage, but I'm kind of curious, like how do they change it every time when it's not a album that they're covering. So what do you remember about the performance?
So the first cruise, it was the This Is Us tour concert.
Oh, okay.
It was that exact concert.
With a smaller stage, I'm assuming. Hmm.
So
That's a
that was
bummer
that.
because I missed that concert and I would have loved to see it live, but it didn't make it to that cruise.
Yeah.
Um, I have so many regrets about not seeing that one live. That is probably my favorite album. Well, it's up there. It's hard to say. There's too many.
Yeah,
I
I know.
can't pick. I can't pick. What do you remember about the other events?
Remember like just being so like nervous to see things like when they did karaoke on the first cruise, and I was like, I would not have the balls to get up on stage and do karaoke with the Backstreet Boys.
But
But there were
also it would be
people up
amazing.
there. But there were people up there and they were having a great time, and I'm like, holy cow, what? It was the first time I really saw like humans, because you're
Uh-huh.
used to seeing them
Uh-huh.
performing in a concert on a stage and singing songs. But it
Mm-hmm.
was very candid. There was a Q&A session. It was absolutely hysterical.
Mm-hmm.
Like people were throwing random questions, and then during karaoke, they were singing Britney Spears, they were singing Madonna. It was just crazy. So to me, it was just like, oh my gosh, these are real people.
Yeah. No, that's a really good way to put it. And I had met them before. I'm trying to think. I did the 2014 cruise and I had met them for the first time. in 2012 or 2013, so not much
Mhm.
before that, but it was at the after party, so it wasn't all of
Yeah.
them. I'd never actually hung out with them. So and I remember like distinctly remember the karaoke that they did on ours, and Nick did Megan Trainor All About That Bass. It was the funniest. It's so good.
Was that the year we did karaoke out on the deck?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, I remember that.
Yeah, it was out on the deck, and I think I was on the second deck, like with my legs hanging over the side, so we could see really well, but we were
Yep.
far. But it was just I just remember his commentary about the song. It was pretty good. So that first time you said the interaction was a little bit harder to get
Yeah.
throughout. Did you get a chance to meet them all?
The only, well, as far as getting selfies, now this was back in 2010, our phones didn't. We actually had cameras that we used.
Yeah.
The only one I got a selfie with in 2010 was Brian.
Mhm.
We caught him in the food in down by the buffet.
Mhm.
And then they did like they did on subsequent cruises, but it was they initially started with 10 people in each picture.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And I, not knowing anybody, I have a picture of me and nine strangers with the
Uh-huh.
Backstreet Boys. So
Mhm.
I cropped down the part that's like me, and I think it was I was next to Howie. So I had the me and Howie because I don't know anybody else in that picture.
Yeah, they whittled it down to five by the time I was in, and I don't
Yep.
know because it's been almost
That's
10
what it's been.
years. Okay, it's still that way.
Yeah. That's
Got
the
it.
standard now.
Just so did you did you talk to any of them aside from just those pictures? Not at that
Not
point.
really.
So
No.
since then it's really changed because they are definitely much
Yes.
more accessible now.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I think everybody was a little scared that first cruise. They didn't know what to expect.
Right.
Like I mean, New Kids on the Block had had a couple cruises before, so they kind of had an idea, but it was still very much a let's see what this is.
Oh man, I would have it would have been amazing to see those other half.
It was
What
hysterical.
that would have looked
It was
like.
hysterical. Just confused senior citizens, like, what on earth is this? And then we'd be out on the deck at the deck party, and they'd be like,
I can't even imagine. Because as a I don't remember how old I was that many years ago, but as a ready to party person, even I was like looking around like, wow, what is happening here when I did the 2014 one. So
yeah.
so last question. Thinking back, what would you have wanted to retain from the first that's maybe changed over the years, or what do you see that they've improved on aside from the obvious interaction piece that you mentioned?
Um, I really enjoyed on the first cruise, and now that I've talked about it, I've remembered more of it. They
Mhm.
didn't do a game show; they did a
Mhm.
Q&A, and to me, that was a lot funnier
Yeah.
than because you've seen the game shows. I'm sure you've seen videos of them on YouTube. They
Mhm.
just get ridiculous, silly things,
Yeah.
and I've been seeing that. But it was just really cool that they put chairs out on the stage in the theater. They sat down. And I don't recall. I think you had to submit your
Yeah.
question in advance, and
Mhm.
they chose the questions. But it was just so candid and
Yeah.
funny.
Mhm.
It was just really that first glimpse into these are real people that I'm sitting in the same room with while this is
Um,
happening.
that reminds me of the sound check parties that they used to do because they do the Q&A
Yes,
for that. And
yes,
that's like one of my
exactly.
favorite things. And I have seen video and there's some rather wild questions, but they're
Yeah,
mostly pretty open to answer whatever
yeah, yep,
questions they get. Yeah.
yeah. And that was back before Kevin came back, so
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
it was
Well, I'm glad Kevin's back now. So
me too,
we can
me
see
too.
him in the Q&A too. Well, I don't
Yeah,
know if they'll ever do another one, but if they do, we should make sure that they receive that feedback.
absolutely.
Yeah. Anything else you want to share about your experience on the cruise?
No, other than, I saw this as a once in a lifetime experience. When they announced it, I'm like, at the time I lived about 3 hours from Miami, so
Hmm.
it wasn't a big deal to get to Miami. So I was like, this is the one time this is going to happen. I'm going to go on it. I'm going to go to the beach party. I'm going to have the best time of my life. And next thing I know, I've been on four more, including flying to Barcelona to get on a European cruise.
You know, even though it's been five, there's still, once in a lifetime type
And that's what
opportunities.
Europe was.
Oh, I believe it. I can't imagine.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing your experience. It's fun to hear about. And I appreciate that.
Of course.
Thank you.
Thanks, Amber.